I've been using the 7th generation iPad mini for over a year now, and honestly, I'm still addicted to this little device. It's funny because when I had the iPad mini 6, I actually considered returning it. At the time, I was using my iPhone all the time, and I had also just picked up the M4 iPad Pro, so I felt like there really wasn't a need for a smaller iPad in my setup. But here's where things changed. When the iPad mini 7 came out, I got it to review it for you guys, and after using it every single day for the past year, I ended up completely falling in love with it. So in this video, I want to share what it's been like using the iPad mini 7 for a full year, how it's held up, what I love about it, what I wish Apple could possibly change, some of the cool use cases I have for it, and whether it's still worth buying in 2025. You see, the thing that makes the iPad mini so special, and honestly the reason I keep reaching for it, is the size. The form factor is just perfect. It's ridiculously portable, lightweight, and super easy to carry around. Now, my 13-inch iPad Pro that you see right here is amazing. It's my main computer. I also sometimes use my wife's 11-inch iPad Air, which I love as well. But when I'm traveling, sometimes I just want to relax, read a book, scroll through social media, or watch a show. For that, I don't necessarily need a large screen. I want something with a large enough screen, but something that's small, light, and comfortable to hold, especially for long periods of time. And that is exactly where the iPad mini shines. And when I go to a coffee shop, not to work, but just to hang out, I'll throw my iPad mini and a charger into my small crossbody bag. It fits perfectly, it's light, and it's powerful enough to do basically everything I need. And especially with iPadOS 26 now, it's a full-blown computer. And what's nice is that it's also helped me cut down on my iPhone usage. For things like browsing, reading, or quick entertainment, I actually prefer using the iPad mini instead of my iPhone. The 8.3-inch screen may not sound huge, but it feels so much more comfortable for reading and watching videos. It's the perfect content consumption device. That said, if there was one thing I would change about the design, it's the display size. I would love to see Apple slightly reduce the borders and give us just a bit more screen. Maybe bump it up to around 8.9 inches or so. It would make the difference between the iPad mini and my iPhone 17 Pro Max's 6.9-inch display feel more noticeable, and it would be a nice quality of life upgrade as well without losing that ultra portable feel. Now, I know a lot of people still talk about the 60 Hz display, and look, it's 2025. I get it. I'd love to see at least a 90 Hz refresh rate on this thing, but even after a year, it honestly hasn't been a deal breaker for me. The iPad mini still feels responsive and smooth thanks to the A17 Pro chip. But hey, this doesn't mean that I don't want a higher refresh rate, because though I don't mind the 60 Hz right now, I also know if I had a 90 Hz display, the experience would be much nicer. It's just that with most of the tasks that I'm working on with the iPad mini, it's not something that I notice all the time. But like I said, if I had a higher refresh rate, I know I would love it. Now, when people ask me if they should upgrade from the Mini 6 to the Mini 7, I usually tell them this. If you're buying it mainly for web browsing, reading, content consumption, or note-taking, then you won't really find a difference at all from the 6 to the 7. The A17 Pro is more powerful, but it only stands out in tasks like gaming or light video editing. But I have to be honest, where this chip really shines is with Apple Intelligence, and that's something you just can't do on the iPad mini 6, because it's only available for the A17 Pro chip and all iPads running an M series chip and later. Now, Apple Intelligence has honestly changed the way I use the iPad mini on a day-to-day basis. For an example, before when I would get emails or messages, I'd usually wait until I was on my iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard to respond. But now with writing tools, I can reply right from the iPad mini. I just tell it what I wanted to say, it drafts the message, and I make a few tweaks, and then I just send it. It's fast, natural, and surprisingly accurate. And I know Apple Intelligence gets a lot of hate on the internet, but trust me, it's not that bad. Once you get used to it, you will love it. I also love using the Apple Pencil Pro on both my iPad Pro and the iPad mini. Sometimes I'll sketch rough design ideas on the mini, and Apple Intelligence helps turn those into more polished concepts automatically. It's also great for proofreading documents or adjusting tone. Basically, it just makes this little device a lot more capable. So if you plan to use Apple Intelligence, the Mini 7 is absolutely worth it, not just with Apple Intelligence, but a lot of other AI tools as well. But if you're looking for a device just to read, browse, and stream on, the Mini 6 will still hold up really, really well. After using it for a year, I've also grown to appreciate the design more than I expected. In my original review, I mentioned that I wish the bezels were slimmer, and I still think Apple could trim them down just a bit, but I've also realized that when I'm reading, for an example, those bezels actually make the device more comfortable to hold, because you have somewhere to rest your thumb without accidentally touching the screen. But like I said, a slightly larger screen would be much appreciated if Apple slightly reduced the bezel size. It could fit in a slightly larger screen as well without making the device overall larger. On the back of the iPad, you get the camera, which is fine. I barely use it. It's there if you need it, but you're not really buying an iPad mini for photography. But hey, when you need it, it is there and it does take decent pictures. Now, one thing I still really wish it had was Face ID. I know it's one of those Apple's smaller products and even the iPad Air doesn't have it. But when you're spending $500, I think you kind of need it. I'm just so used to unlocking my iPhone and iPad Pro instantly with a swipe that Touch ID sometimes feels a bit outdated. As for accessories, I'm still using the ESR folio case. It's durable, affordable, and has a flap that protects the Apple Pencil Pro so it doesn't fall off, and I have it linked below. It's honestly way better than Apple's Smart Folio for the price. But the other accessory that I've been using, and one that's made me love the iPad mini even more, is this keyboard case from a company called How. At first glance, it looks like a regular smart cover, but when you open it up, it actually reveals a built-in Bluetooth keyboard. Now, Apple doesn't make a dedicated keyboard for the iPad mini, which kind of makes sense since it's designed mostly for lighter tasks and content consumption. But after taking the mini on a few vacations and leaving my iPad Pro behind, I realized how useful it could be to have a small keyboard with me, just for replying to emails, typing quick notes, or editing small documents. And with this keyboard, it does exactly that. It's super slim, it doesn't add noticeable weight, and the keys actually have really good travel for something this small. Sure, they're tiny, and it's not like a full-blown keyboard. It took me a day or two to adjust, but once I did, typing on it became surprisingly enjoyable. And the best part is, when I'm not using it, I just fold it back like a normal smart cover. It automatically disconnects the keys, so I can go right back to reading or watching content without any distraction. It also works as a nice angled stand when you don't want to type. For around $69 on Amazon, it's such a good value considering Apple's regular smart cover is already about $50 to $60 and doesn't even have a keyboard. So if you are interested in checking this out, I have a link to it in the description below. So after a full year, I can confidently say that the iPad mini 7 is still one of my favorite devices. It's become my e-reader, note-taking companion, social media machine, and even a mini productivity tool when I need it. Now, it's definitely not the most powerful iPad, but it's easily the most fun and the one that I keep reaching for the most. If you want to see all the different ways that I use my iPad mini, check out my video on 7 great use cases for it. I'll link it here and in the description below. As always, stay tuned for more iPad content and productivity tips. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll catch you in the next one.